You have everything you thought you wanted. The job, the house, the relationship. So why do you feel so empty inside? You look around and see others living the life you secretly dream about. They attract opportunities, love, abundance. And you're still waiting, still wondering when it will be your turn. But here's what I want you to understand right now. There is no mysterious code. What you desire is not outside of you. It never was. I've observed thousands of people transform their lives completely. Not through luck, through understanding 5 fundamental steps that govern how we attract what we truly want. Most people are walking around completely unconscious. They move through life like sleepwalkers. They react to everything. They respond to nothing from their authentic self. You cannot attract what you desire from unconsciousness. Impossible. Let me tell you about a woman who came to me. Successful career, beautiful home, everything looked perfect, but she was exhausted, burned out, living someone else's life and doing everything right. Why do I feel so empty? She was living from conditioning, not from authentic desires, attracting what she thought she should want, not what her soul craved. This is your trap. You're trying to attract from a false self, programmed by others, by society, by fear, and it's not working. It never will. Every day, you're sending mixed signals. Part wants success, another part fears it. Part wants love, another feels unworthy. Part wants abundance, another believes you don't deserve it. Internal conflicts create energetic chaos. Chaos cannot attract harmony. The universe responds to your vibrational frequency, to who you're being, not who you're pretending to be. Step 1 is crucial. You must become conscious of who you really are beneath conditioning. Most people skip this. They want manifestation techniques, visualizations, affirmations. But you cannot build on a shaky foundation. An unconscious mind is the shakiest foundation of all. How do you become conscious? Observe yourself without judgment. Watch your thoughts. Notice emotional patterns. Become curious about automatic reactions. When someone cuts you off in traffic, what happens inside? When you don't get promoted, what story do you tell yourself? When someone expresses love, do you receive it or deflect? These moments reveal everything. Where you operate from fear instead of love, scarcity instead of abundance, unworthiness instead of self-respect. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most desires aren't actually yours. They're compensations for what you think is missing. You want that relationship because you don't feel complete alone? That money because you don't feel secure? That recognition because you don't recognize your worth? But attraction doesn't work through compensation. It works through wholeness. Step 2. You must heal your relationship with yourself. Your external world reflects your internal world. Always, no exceptions. Marcus desperately wanted to find his life partner. 3 years single. He tried everything. Dating apps, social events, blind dates. Nothing worked. I can't find anyone. I asked him, how do you treat yourself? He was harsh, critical, unforgiving. He spoke to himself in ways he'd never speak to another person, and then wondered why he attracted partners who treated him poorly or sabotaged good connections. You cannot attract what you won't give yourself. No compassion for yourself? You'll attract people who withhold compassion. No self-respect? You'll attract disrespectful situations. Don't believe in your worth? You'll attract experiences confirming unworthiness. This isn't punishment. This is how energy works. Like attracts like. Always. When you change your relationship with yourself, everything changes. Treat yourself with love and respect you've been seeking from others, and you naturally attract people mirroring that energy back. Healing isn't overnight. It's not a destination. It's daily practice. Speaking to yourself with kindness, honoring your needs, setting boundaries, protecting your peace. Most people think self-love is selfish. Backwards thinking. Self-love is the most generous thing you can do. When you love yourself, you have love to give. Fill your cup first. Pour into others from overflow instead of emptiness. Step 3. Align with your authentic desires. Not what you should want, not what looks good, not what impresses others, what your soul longs for. This requires brutal honesty. Most people fear admitting what they really want. Their authentic desires don't match their created image, or seem too big, too impossible, too different from expectations. Your authentic desires aren't random. They exist for a reason. They're pointing toward your highest expression, who you came here to be. Suppress authentic desires, you suppress life force. You become smaller. Small energy attracts small experiences. A woman I worked with spent 15 years in corporate finance, good at it, excellent money, but miserable. Her authentic desire? To be an artist, create, express her soul through painting. That's not practical. I can't make a living as an artist. The voice of limitation, keeping you small, convincing you to betray your authentic self for security's illusion. I ask her, what if you trusted that following authentic desires would lead exactly where you need to be? 2 years to transition. She did it. Now runs a successful art therapy practice, makes more money doing what she loves than in finance. Attracted a supportive partner, a community celebrating her gifts. This didn't happen because of vision boards, because she aligned actions with authentic desires, stopped living from fear, started living from trust. Your authentic desires aren't obstacles. They're gifts to unwrap. The universe calling you toward highest potential. But most people ignore these callings, dismiss them as unrealistic, impractical, too risky, then wonder why life feels empty, why nothing truly fulfills them. You cannot attract authentic fulfillment from an inauthentic life. Impossible. Step 4, you must embody the energy of what you desire. Most manifestation teachings get this backwards. They tell you to visualize having what you want, to act as if it's already yours. But this often creates more separation, more longing, more focus on what's missing. True embodiment is different. It's becoming the person who naturally attracts what you desire. Shifting your identity at the deepest level. Want to attract love? Become love. Self-love, compassion, acceptance, forgiveness. Want abundance? Embody abundance. Cultivate abundant mindset. Be generous with what you have. Appreciate what's already in your life. Want success? Embody success. Take full responsibility for your life. Act with integrity. Follow through on commitments to yourself. David wanted to attract a successful business. Great idea, solid plan. But he kept sabotaging himself, missing deadlines, avoiding difficult conversations, procrastinating on important tasks. I just can't get momentum. The problem wasn't his idea. The problem was his identity. He still saw himself as someone who struggled, someone not quite capable, someone who needed to prove himself. We worked on shifting his identity. Instead of trying to become successful, he focused on being someone who naturally succeeded, someone who followed through, someone who faced challenges head on, someone who kept his word to himself. The business took off within 6 months. Not because external circumstances changed, because his internal state changed. He embodied success energy, and success became natural. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. Your current results perfectly reflect who you've been being. Want different results? Become a different person. Not on the surface. At the core. Step 5. You must surrender the outcome. This is the hardest step. It seems to contradict everything we've been taught about achieving goals. We're told to set intentions, visualize, take action, never give up. But there's a difference between healthy intention and desperate attachment, between inspired action and forced manipulation, between persistence and resistance to what is. When you're attached to the outcome, you're operating from fear. Fear that it won't happen, fear that you're not enough, fear that the universe can't be trusted. This fear energy repels what you desire. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting, knowing that when you align with your authentic self and embody the energy of what you desire, the universe conspires to support you. Maybe not in the way you expected, maybe not in the timing you demanded, but always in the way that serves your highest good. I learned this the hard way. For years, I was attached to very specific outcomes. I thought I knew exactly how my life should unfold. I fought against anything that didn't match my plan. And I created enormous suffering for myself. It wasn't until I learned to surrender that miracles started happening. Opportunities I never could have imagined. Relationships that exceeded my wildest dreams. Experiences that transformed me in ways I never knew I needed. But surrender only works when you've done the inner work, when you've become conscious, when you've healed your relationship with yourself, when you've aligned with your authentic desires, when you've embodied the energy of what you want to attract. Without these foundations, surrender becomes passive waiting. And passive waiting never attracts anything. With these foundations, surrender becomes active trust. And active trust is the most magnetic force in the universe. When you master these 5 steps, you stop chasing, you start attracting, you stop forcing, you start flowing, you stop living from desperation, you start living from inspiration. The right people show up at the right time, perfect opportunities present themselves, resources you need become available, not because you manipulated the universe, because you aligned with it. This is not a quick fix, not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is about becoming the kind of person who can handle whatever life brings, who can find opportunity in obstacles, who can create meaning from difficulties, who can attract what truly serves their growth. Because that's what authentic attraction is really about, not getting what you think you want, but becoming who you're meant to be. And from that place of authentic beingness, naturally attracting what supports your highest expression Most people have it backwards. They think life owes them happiness, success, love, but life doesn't owe you anything. Life is a gift. And your job is to become worthy of that gift, not through external achievements, through internal development. When you become conscious, you realize that everything you've been seeking outside of yourself already exists within you. The love you want to attract, you already are love. The abundance you want to experience, you already are abundant. The peace you're longing for, you already are peace. But you can't access these qualities while you're identified with your limited self, your wounded self, your conditioned self. You have to remember who you really are beneath all the layers of programming and protection. When you remember, everything changes. Not because the world becomes different, because you become different. And when you change, your entire world rearranges itself to match your new frequency. This is not mystical nonsense. This is practical psychology. When you shift your internal state, you naturally make different choices, show up differently in relationships, pursue different opportunities, respond to challenges with different energy. These different responses create different outcomes, different experiences, different attractions. The 5 steps I've shared are not theory, they're practices to embody. Ways of being to cultivate. Start where you are, with what you have, with who you are right now. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. Don't wait until you have it all figured out. Begin today. Begin with step 1. Begin with becoming conscious of who you really are, beneath all the masks you wear, all the roles you play, all the stories you tell about yourself. As you do this inner work, as you heal your relationship with yourself, as you align with your authentic desires, as you embody the energy of what you want to attract, as you surrender the outcome to something greater than your limited perspective, you will discover something extraordinary. You will discover that you are not separate from what you desire. You never were. The love you seek is the love you are. The abundance you want is the abundance you are. The peace you long for is the peace you are. From this place of unity, of wholeness, of authentic self-expression, you will naturally attract experiences that mirror back to you the truth of who you really are. This is not about getting more. This is about being more. This is not about having everything you want. This is about wanting everything you have. This is not about changing the world. This is about changing yourself so profoundly that the world has no choice but to change around you. The person you are becoming is more powerful than any technique you could learn. The consciousness you develop is more magnetic than any strategy you could implement. The love you cultivate within yourself is more attractive than any external validation you could seek. You came here to remember this. You came here to express this. You came here to be this. Everything you need is already within you. Everything you seek is already seeking you. Everything you desire is already on its way to you, not because I'm telling you what you want to hear, but because this is how the universe actually works when you align with its fundamental principles. Your only job is to get out of your own way, to stop being an obstacle to your own good, to stop resisting the very thing you're asking for. When you do this, when you truly master these 5 steps, you will understand something that will change everything. You will understand that you are not trying to attract what you desire. You are what you desire. attracting experiences that help you remember the magnificence of who you really are. But here's what most people don't realize about this journey. The resistance you feel when you start doing this inner work, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. That's your ego fighting to maintain control. That's your old programming trying to keep you small and safe. Your ego has spent years building elaborate defenses, stories about why you can't have what you want, explanations for why others succeed but you don't, justifications for staying exactly where you are. And when you start to challenge these stories, your ego panics. It will whisper lies to you. This is too hard. You're not strong enough. Who do you think you are? Remember last time you tried to change? This internal resistance is where most people give up. They interpret it as evidence that transformation isn't possible for them. But resistance is actually evidence that you're on the right track. You're threatening the very foundations of your limited identity. The question is, will you let that old identity win, or will you have the courage to keep moving forward despite the fear? Let me tell you something about fear. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is information. It's showing you exactly where you need to grow. It's pointing toward the very thing that will set you free. Every person who has ever transformed their life has walked through this fire of resistance. They've felt the fear and chosen love anyway. They've heard the voice of limitation and chosen expansion anyway. This is what separates those who attract extraordinary lives from those who settle for ordinary ones. Not talent, not luck, not circumstances, courage. The courage to keep going when everything inside you wants to retreat back to familiar suffering, because that's what most people choose. Familiar suffering over unfamiliar joy. Known limitation over unknown possibility. Comfortable misery over uncomfortable growth. But you're different. The fact that you're still here, still listening, still open to transformation, that tells me something profound about who you really are. You have that spark, that refusal to settle, that knowing that you're meant for something more. Trust that knowing, even when everyone around you thinks you've lost your mind. Even when the evidence suggests you should give up. Even when progress feels impossibly slow. Because here's the truth about transformation, it happens in layers, like an onion being peeled. Each layer of conditioning you release reveals more of your authentic self. Each false belief you dissolve makes space for more truth. Each fear you walk through expands your capacity for love. And sometimes, just when you think nothing is changing, everything shifts at once. The job appears, the relationship manifests, the opportunity opens, the breakthrough happens. But it's never because the universe finally decided to reward you. It's because you finally became ready to receive what was always available to you. This readiness cannot be faked, cannot be rushed, cannot be bypassed. It requires genuine transformation at the cellular level, at the identity level, at the soul level. And that transformation requires patience with yourself, compassion for your process, faith in your journey, even when you can't see the destination. Most people want guarantees before they begin. They want to know exactly how it will unfold, exactly when they'll see results, exactly what they'll have to sacrifice along the way. But transformation doesn't work that way. It requires you to step into the void of not knowing, to trust something larger than your logical mind, to believe in possibilities that your past experience cannot confirm. This is the ultimate test of faith. Not faith in some external deity, faith in the magnificence of who you really are. Faith in the intelligence of the universe. Faith in the process of growth itself. And when you develop that faith, when you truly embody these 5 steps, something miraculous happens. You stop needing to control outcomes. You stop fearing uncertainty. You stop resisting what is. You become a co-creator with life itself. From this place, attraction becomes effortless. Not because you've learned some technique, but because you've remembered your true nature. You've aligned with the creative force of existence. You've become a clear channel for infinite possibilities. But let me address something stirring in you. You might think, this sounds beautiful, but my situation is different. My problems are complex. My circumstances challenging. Too peaceful. And I have looked upward to the acute aggregate of the situation with which I contemplate. But let me address something stirring in you. You might think, this sounds beautiful, but my situation is different. My problems are complex. My circumstances challenging. Your circumstances aren't your limitations. Your beliefs about circumstances are your limitations. I've worked with people who overcame devastating losses, transformed addiction, healed from trauma, built empires from nothing, found love after heartbreak, discovered purpose in their 60s. External circumstances varied dramatically. Internal process was identical. They stopped identifying with limitation stories, stopped using their past as excuse for their future, stopped waiting for permission to become who they were meant to be. Every circumstance contains transformation seeds. The job loss, forcing you to discover real passion. The relationship ending, teaching self-love. The health crisis, awakening you to what matters. The financial struggle, developing resourcefulness and faith. This isn't positive thinking, this is quantum physics, how energy works. Every challenge contains its solution. Every problem carries its gift. Every obstacle hides opportunity, but you only see hidden possibilities through consciousness eyes. Identified with limited self, you see only problems. Connected to infinite self, you see possibilities everywhere. This perception shift is everything. Difference between victim of circumstances and creator of experience. Between asking, why is this happening to me, and how is this serving my growth? You don't have to wait for circumstances to change to live differently. Change your relationship with circumstances right now, today, this moment. That difficult boss teaching you boundaries and self-respect, financial pressure, pushing toward creative solutions and deeper trust, health challenge, calling you to examine your body relationship and mortality. When you see life this way, everything shifts. You stop being victim of your story. You become author of transformation. Stop waiting for rescue. Become your own hero. This is attraction's ultimate secret. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. Who you are isn't your circumstances. Who you are is your response to circumstances. Respond to challenge with curiosity. Attract growth opportunities. Respond to loss with gratitude. Attract abundance experiences. Respond to fear with love. Attract miracles. This isn't philosophy, this is physics. How the universe operates. Like energy attracts like energy. Always. Without exception. So what energy are you broadcasting? What frequency are you operating on? What version of yourself are you being moment to moment? Every moment is choice point. Every breath, opportunity to choose differently. Every thought, chance to align with highest or lowest self. The universe always responds to these choices. Always reflects exactly what you put out. Not as punishment, as feedback, as guidance, as love, in purest form. This is your invitation, your reminder, your call to awakening. The time for waiting is over. The time for becoming is now.